because we're going to work on them, and it's really, really difficult to do it on your computer. So if you can print them out and have them in front of you, please do that.
Very important. Before we get started, I have to say, I think Mary Brown wins like MVP of the event because she referred the event to several friends. So welcome, Mary and friends. I'm very excited for you guys to get to have this content. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, is that Sarah? Is that where you're from? You know Mary as well?
Yeah, hi. We've known each other probably 8 years now or a little bit more.
Oh,
and
nice.
She actually did help us sell, but I knew her long before that. And
Cool.
She helped us buy, and I have a small brewery up here in Arlington.
You have a small brewery where?
In Arlington.
Really? Well, what's it called?
In the Shadow Brewing. We're right here on our own property that Mary sold us.
You guys, you got to check it out. I saw a picture of it. She sent me a picture of it. She was there.
Does that brewery have patio dining?
Yep.
Did they release us to go back inside though? I was driving.
No.
Here's weird. I went skiing last night, night skiing up at Stevens Pass, and we drove through Gold Bar Startup, and then there's one other place there. I think we saw 3 restaurants full of people inside.
They're Gold Bar, all that strip, Jeff, is kind of doing rogue. They're just
rogue.
They're just risking the fines because they're like, screw it.
That's no fun.
So
That's not uncommon.
Which, we won't get political here.
None of that. All right, well, I think we should get started really quick. Jalen, could you put the link to the toolkit in the chat? I got a couple messages that some people didn't get the email. We'll put that there.
Yeah.
Still need to print.
Yep,
And
I just need that cleaner.
basis. Oh, we got one more person joining now. Okay.
All right, guys. So thank you so much for being on. This vision planning is something that I started doing about 2016 is when I started being forced to do vision planning. However, I've been being coached since 2013, and during the coaching, they also had many of these exercises during the coaching calls and during the summit coaching experiences that I went through. And over the years, it's just changed my life. So I think one of the biggest mistakes most people make when they're trying to achieve their goals, their dreams and future and make their future better than they think they can is they don't write it down. They don't take time to go a little deeper on what they're trying to accomplish. They have an idea in their head, but the problem with that is we have so many things going on in our lives that's impossible, in my opinion, unless you're just some crazy dialed in person that can just do multitask and has more time in their head than is in the day. You just can't achieve a lot of those things unless you do more. And I think if you look at a lot of the successful people out there, a lot of them do exactly this and probably a lot more to get to that next level. And I'm telling you, if you would have asked me in 2016 of whether I would be where I'm at right now, where I'm sitting right here and where my business has gone from 2016 to now, I would tell you that it's impossible. There's no way. Like my dreams back then had nothing to do with where we're at right now. To give you an idea, in 2016, I think we were definitely increasing, but we were probably doing about maybe 40 or 50 million in 2016, maybe a little more than that. This last year, we did $200 million in over 510 units. And honestly, I owe it. And I believe that it's solely that growth and that success came from what we're going to do today. It's so powerful that I did it for the first 2 years. And then I'm like, God, I should share this with my team. And now we do it with our team every year. Like we've already done our vision planning with the team where we took an entire day off and all we did was work on ourselves and the vision of where we want to go. You have to have a clear picture of where you want to be. Here's another one. This is a picture of me that I'm actually embarrassed of, sitting there weighing about 256 pounds. way overweight, completely out of control, not sure what's going on in my life. This was probably in that 2017 era, 2016 era, whatever. In 2018, I decided to change my vision and decided that I'm going to get healthy. So it took me a while to get on track for that vision. I hired another coach for wellness, and sure enough, I lost over 50 pounds in 3 months, and have been able to maintain and keep it off. But every day I get up and I have to envision where I want to be with my weight and my health, and it keeps me on track. So that's another big thing with these visions, and having what we're going to do today is helping you not only achieve your goals, but to maintain them and then exceed them. So super important. Okay, Sky. So 2020, crazy year. What we like to do every year is we like to get a word that describes what the year 2020 meant to you. So everyone take a few minutes right now to just write down a word that kind of describes how 2020 is in a nutshell. My word for 2020 was chaos. I moved to a different company in March, not knowing that we're headed into a pandemic. 2 weeks later, my entire team was sent home to work from home, which we were not ready to work from home. I mean, I've never worked from home remotely that often. I'm not even sure we knew what Zoom was at the time. I mean, I did, but I didn't. We never used it actively. And I mean, for probably 4 to 5 months, it was pure freaking chaos, like pure scary. I was at the verge of tears. If I didn't cry, I don't think I cried specifically, but I certainly got close. That's how bad it was. I love it. Amy came up with adapt. That is kind of a big thing right now, you guys, is adapting to this new kind of way business is being conducted. Sarah said growth. That's a great one too.
Are those for 21? Are those for 21 or for 20?
This is for 20. We want to go, what's last year? What's one word to describe how last year affected you? Like, what would you describe last year? Now, going into 2020, last year, I think mine was growth. And that was a real big thing of switching companies and growing the business and things like that. But then the pandemic hit and it changed everything. And so my money was, we did grow actually. So I did accomplish that part of it, but it was way more chaotic than the growth was worth. Let's put it that way. So, 2020 can be a positive word if it was a good year and you were able to adapt. I mean, like Amy's word, adapt, was a great word. I mean, you could use that as a positive and a negative. It could go both ways. You don't want to adapt because of a pandemic, but it is what it is. Now what I want you guys to do is you got your word for 2020. What do you want your word to be for 2021? Like, what does that word look like to you that you want 2021 to look like? My word for 2021, and I've actually used this one before, is focus. I need to focus when I'm at my job and with my family and everything else. I've got to stay consistent. I'm such a squirrel. I mean, I can be on the phone 1 second, looking at email another second, and then off on some other tangent, 3 minutes later. I got to stay focused in order to get my work done and continue to stay at the level that we want. We got some good ones here. Some more focused. We got growth. We got clear. Sky was clear. Sarah was refine. I love that word. Change from Karen. Uncertainty. I think that's, you never know what's going to happen. Are we ever going to come out of this? I would have never, if you had asked me 6 months ago that the pandemic would still be in full force right now, I would have thought you were joking or hoped you were joking, and obviously you weren't. Consistency, that's a great one too. All right. Now what we do with these words, you guys, is we write the words down and we print them out. We get stickers and put them on the walls of everyone on the team. So we have the team walk through, find out what their word is, and then we order the word in a sticker format and put it on an office wall so that you can see it every time you walk in. We buy big black letters, they're probably like, 8 inches tall. So it really stands out, and it can look cool on the wall too. It's almost like a decoration or a motivational sign, but you want it somewhere we're not going to forget about it, somewhere where it stands out that you see it daily to kind of motivate you on what you want this year to look like. So I'm sure a lot of us are burned out on what happened last year with all the chaos and the pandemic and things like that. I mean, I want you guys to start thinking, and we're going to go into an exercise right now that's going to talk about where are we at right now, today, personally, both on your personal level, business level, and every level of your life. I mean, start thinking about, are you burnt out? Not enough family time? Need to exercise more? Spiritually unfulfilled? Need to pay off debt? What we're looking at is this form right here that you guys have that I want you guys to start filling out. And basically what we're looking at is each box is a certain category of your life. So money, work, self, friends, family, love life, spirituality. And each box, I want you to put 2 descriptive, short sentences that describe how your life looks around money. Like, what frustrates you the most in each area? So look at money and say, I want to save more money. I don't have enough money in the bank. I need to save more money. Does that frustrate you? Or, I have a job that I'm not making as much money and I want to make more money. I want to make more money. I want to increase the amount, and I'm struggling and I'm frustrated with not making as much money as I think I can make or want to make. Work could be, I'm frustrated working 60 hours a week and not really, getting paid for what I feel like I'm worth, type of thing. It could be, I need to spend more time at my family as well. That could be a part of our work frustration, is you're frustrated you're not seeing your family enough. Again, I want 2 on each box. Friends would be, maybe you're not seeing your friends enough. Maybe you don't have a lot of friends. I struggle with that because I do work a lot and I focused in on my family at home, but that just doesn't leave a lot of time to hang out with friends outside of work. So I would say 95% of my friends are work related, and that's my family basically. And then I've got my family at home as well. But the opportunity to spread out and meet other people is very limited, especially during a pandemic, obviously. But even otherwise, I mean, who's got time of the day when you got 3 girls in school, and then you got the whole household to manage and things like that? It takes a lot out of you, and you just don't have that extra time or feel motivated to go out with friends when you're got everything else going on. Family, again, maybe you want to spend more time with them. Maybe you want to teach your kids something that you just haven't had time to teach them. Love life, what does that look like? I mean, maybe some of you might put, I don't have a love life, and that frustrates you. Others may say, I have a love life, but I want to make it better. I want to get to the next level in my love life. And then spirituality is a big one. I mean, some people need a lot of that, and others don't even know what spirituality is. So it's kind of one of those things. Maybe you want to discover your own spirituality and kind of go from there. So take a second to think about each one of these. Write the first thing that comes to your head, you guys. That's the key with these events, is the first thing that comes to your head is usually the most important thing, even though it may not seem important. If your mind is immediately coming up with that idea, it obviously has an impact on you some way or another. So don't ignore it. I mean, a lot of these, as you see writing them, they do flow into one or the other, and you can focus in on one, and it might help you in other aspects of your life as well. So that's the beauty of this. Problem is we don't take the time to explore where our frustrations are. So we just kind of let them drive over the top of us over and over again. If you don't address it, it's just going to continue to happen. It's the bottom line. Alicia, I loved yours. Work life not aligning with my passion. That's beautiful. I mean, that's so important. I think a lot of people, are stuck in a job that's a dead-end job. And 2 things can come from that. One is maybe you're not looking at your job in the right light, and you can kind of look at something in a negative way, and it just becomes more negative and hateful and things like that. Or the other thing is you're doing something that you don't like and you want to get to something that you're passionate about. And this is the way to do that. This is the way to obtain those passions or those dreams that you have, is you got to visualize them. You got to write them down, and you got to address them constantly over and over and over again. I literally address mine every day. Every morning I get up, I address my goals, my dreams, everything. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a second. All right. Next.
Okay.
View. Okay, now we're going to do we're going to take the numbers from this form. So this form we just filled out, we're going to take the numbers over here that are on the side, and we're going to place them on our visual wheel. So you take the number that corresponds with the different category, like spirituality, I'm a 4. So I put a dot. You start counting from the middle and you go out 4 dashes and you put a circle. Once you have all your circles all the way around, then you connect the dots and see how perfect your life is. A perfect life, in quote unquote perfect life, would be 10s all the way around the outside. As you can see, my perfect life does not look like a wheel. It looks like something out of a horror movie. So it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to give you the I guess it's just, we're just looking for the impact. So everyone do that, and then draw your circle, connect the dots once you have everything in.
Not that we're out here promoting perfect lives, because I don't think that exists. You will have some kind of a realization once you see the shape, for sure.
Then once you get your wheel done, kind of look at your wheel, and then on the bottom there, your biggest aha. What's your biggest takeaway from when you look at this wheel and what it looks like and how your life looks from a perfect circle down to what you see in front of you? What is that aha moment? What does that mean to you? How does that affect you? Do you know what you're trying to do in your life? Does anyone want to share their aha moment?
I have a lot of work to do.
That's usually the best response. I mean, I think that a lot of people usually like, oh my God, how did I get here?
And this is hard it's hard to do today because I have been implementing things since the first of the year, right? I mean, I've always done a business plan. I've always done goal setting. And so looking at my stuff in December going, okay, my word is focus and clarity for 2021, because 2020 was so unclear and so not focused. So it's hard to say, it's hard to rate it right now, because going 2 weeks into the year, I'm like, okay, I'm still on track 2 weeks into the year, but will I be on track in 30 days into the year,
Right. And I think you bring up probably one of the most important parts is, this is great for the start, but the only way it really, really works is if you continue to maintain it and continue to check in on your goals and things like that in my opinion, you got to do it daily. I do it daily. I know Sky has started up. A lot of people on our team are starting to do it daily. Has anyone heard of the Miracle Morning book by chance? Miracle Morning. They just released a movie that was, I thought, flat out amazing. We got invited to the premiere of it online via Zoom, and the entire team watched it. And I mean, that's a very impactful method of getting up in the morning to revisit these ideas that we're putting together today. If you haven't read the book, I would highly recommend getting the book or going and seeing the movie, because it's very impactful. I had all my daughters from 13, one's 13, 15, and 18. I made all my daughters watch it. I got my daughter, they have a college version of the Miracle Morning that I bought her the book. It's freaking astounding of what you can accomplish when you get focused like this.
Another really cool thing is if you come back, we'll do this event every single year, and you keep the worksheets.
Yeah.
And so even if you're feeling like for me, family has been a huge struggle the last several years since my parents separated. And I remember 2 years ago when we did this with the team, I pulled out my forms and I had put 0, and the next year I'd put 1, and then this year I actually put 5. And so no, it's not perfect, but gosh, the growth when you are able to be honest with yourself about where you're at, and then as we do more of these exercises, what do you want that to look like, and then you start living into it. I mean, it's life-changing, you guys. It really is.
Okay. Now we know where we were and where our frustrations are. Now we want to flip the switch. We want to change our mentality to, okay, we can't change the past, but we can change the future. So now we want to focus in on, what do we want our life to look like? Where do we want us to be in the next year? Do you want to go on vacation with your family? Do you want to get in shape and eat right? Do you want to be debt free? Do you want to save money for the future? So get out the other form. Where will you be? Again, it's 7 boxes of life. Fill them in as much as you can. Now the grading side, on the side it says rate importance 1 to 7. There's a difference on this one. You rate them 1 to 7, but you can only use one number once. So each one's going to have its own unique number all the way down. So rate the one that's the most important as number 1 and the least important as number 7. Is that right, Sky?
No,
Oh, 7 is greatest important, sorry. So 7 would be the most important thing and 1 would be the least important. So now we know where we'll be. We know what our top numbers are, the number 1 versus number 7. Does anyone on this call, do they do affirmations every morning? Anyone?
Every morning.
Every morning, yeah.
And I have for years.
Have you really?
Yeah, so when I did ninja coaching through Windermere,
Yeah.
that's their big thing. And so miracle morning, right? We did the miracle morning thing. And then, yeah, I probably have done affirmations easily 7-8 years.
Wow, that's fantastic. Great.
And they work.
They totally work. If you guys want something, you just got to convince your brain that you can get it. And the only way to do that is to continue to do positive self-talk around what you want. And those are called affirmations. Affirmations you should do every morning, right after you get out of bed. You jump out of bed, you read your affirmations, and right before you go to bed, you do your affirmations to yourself. You basically are telling your body when you get up, the first thing you hear to yourself, your first self-talk is, you know, I want to do this, I want to do this, I'm a positive, blah, blah, blah. And then the last thing you want to do before you go to bed is tell your body the same thing, like your brain, the same thing over and over again. Again, eventually, your brain will start to realize it's a truth. It will start to do things and make decisions that help you to accomplish where your affirmations are leading you. This is a funny story. Why I have Zac Efron on here was one of my affirmations where when I decided to go on this weight loss thing is I had to be super focused. And one of my things my diet coach did or wanted me to do is do affirmations around weight loss. So one of my weight loss affirmations was, I love working out every morning. I love the way I look without my shirt on. You know, watch out, Zac Efron, I'm going to kick your ass. And so I have a picture still to this day on my thing. Guess who's on there? Mr. Zac Efron, because I would not mind walking around without my shirt on looking like that. So mentally, when I close my eyes about that particular affirmation, I'm visualizing me looking like Zac Efron walking down the beach with my swimsuit on or whatever, and just puffed out, and that motivates me. I want to look fit and buffed out like that. I mean, I don't know who wouldn't want to look. And maybe that's a little too big a muscle. I don't need to have that kind of muscle, but to be toned and look really good is super empowering. And I'm telling you, I get out of bed like a flash at 5 o'clock in the morning every morning. And some mornings I try to get up earlier. I've gone as early as 3:30 in the morning to start my magic morning. And one of the parts is to work out every single morning to make sure that I'm hitting those goals and driving in. And it's hard. Like I couldn't wake up this morning. I decided I went to bed at 1 o'clock because of skiing and stuff. And I got up late. I did my miracle morning. I just didn't do the full workout that I normally do. So it's not like the end of the world if you don't hit it, but you want to continue to convince yourself over and over again through these affirmations to hit those goals. Now what you want to do is write an affirmation around each of the areas you rated most important, 5, 6, and 7. So 7 being the most important, 6 and 5 being, right behind it. So what you want to do is take the ones that you rated at those levels and then come up with an affirmation around what those goals are. I would always say, and I've been through many, many affirmation writing classes through the Seattle Institute or the Pacific Institute in Seattle, which is a affirmation-based learning center. You can do up to like 10 affirmations if you want, but I would strongly suggest keeping it at a much smaller level and focus in on maybe 3 is kind of ideal. I run right now, I'm running with, I think 5 or 6. I can't remember if I have 6 or not. Anyways, I think 5 is okay too. I would say 5 is probably a high number that I wouldn't go much higher than that if you can. A lot of times you can take 1 or like 2 different goals and blend them into the same affirmation if you need to. In my affirmations, I use 2 around weight loss. 1 is I look at that I eat healthy. That's 1 affirmation. And then the other affirmation is about working out, because I feel like those 2 things are combined. I could potentially put them into the same affirmation and then, focus that way. But I've chosen to keep them separate because they motivate me in different ways. 1 leads to the same thing, but at the same time, I struggle with what I eat. So I feel like I really got to focus in on that. And then I also got to keep myself super motivated to continue to work out, because that helps me lose weight faster and builds up muscle and bone strength and things like that. You always got to write it in a way that you have already accomplished it. So again, my weight one is I love weighing 195 pounds. I love eating healthy and eating healthy fats. And I love the way I look. Something like that is what my weight loss one is. So it's very specific in the sense that 195 is the number I want to be at, right? So I've already weighed 195. I love weighing 195. I love the way I look in my clothes. I love eating healthy and eating healthy fats and maintaining this great lifestyle, that kind of thing. So when you read it, you want to solicit as much emotion as possible. So remember how I was saying, like Zach here is the picture. I mean, this is it. When I close my eyes, I focus in on, I don't know if you guys seen Baywatch, and maybe you guys think I'm totally weird or whatever, but it works for me, so I don't really care what you think of me. But I close my eyes, I envision Zac Efron with my head on it, really. I mean, in a way, I'm like, I want to be that guy. I want to look like that, and I know I can. And so it powers me. When I close my eyes, I want to look like this. So it's very important that it's very specific so that when you close your eyes, you can vision what that looks like to you.
So I can give a couple examples that are not weight loss, Jeff, and you can even workshop them for me if you want. But when I was writing these, you can definitely tell the difference within yourself. If you're like, oh my gosh, yes, like that's it. I want that. You feel that excitement. That's a good affirmation. If you're like, then you need to workshop it until you feel so excited about like that life that you could live into. So one of mine for Miracle Morning is, I am a morning person. Mornings are my favorite time to give myself. And I tell myself that every morning, and it's totally starting to work. Another one is, I am in control of my mind, my mood, and my choices. I never hold myself back. And that one has been really powerful. And you kind of start, and then as the weeks go on, you'll maybe write new ones. You're like, you know what, I'm struggling in this area. Let me write an affirmation around this, until you kind of like get to the point that you're overcoming that thing, and then you can switch them in and out. Ooh, Alicia has a good one.
I've rewrote mine recently. I had wrote all new ones around what my new goals were, and this was about 6-8 months ago. As we're coming into the pandemic, I had to kind of change things up a bit. But honestly, they didn't really have the same impact as my original affirmations that I was using for years. And I've just recently switched back to my original affirmations just to see how it would affect my body and mind and how things were going. And holy smokes, guys, like that's how you can tell if an affirmation works, is like I immediately saw a change in my mental visioning when I went back to those old ones. So those old ones have a huge impact, as stupid as they are. Like I had a new weight loss one, and I know I keep bringing up weight loss, but it's obviously a priority to my mind. But when I had the weight loss one, it just wasn't doing it for me. Like I could close my mind and I was issuing it, but it wasn't perfect. And when I went back to the old one with Zach on there, boom, man, I was like dialed in again. I'm serious. I had like literally a mental switch in my head went off when I said I want to do this. And as soon as I envisioned what I want to look like, that was the motivation that my brain needed to kind of really focus me in on what I'm trying to do. Another good one that I have that's really worked for me is with my daughter. Those of you who know me know that I have an older daughter. She's in college at the University of Alabama. She's 18. We've been kind of I wouldn't call it estranged, but we've never really gotten along very well. So that was one of my affirmations was I love my, I love my oldest daughter. I love hanging out with her. I love listening to her and not trying to tell her how to fix things, but to listen, stand back, and maybe try to help her understand how to fix things herself. Like let her come to that conclusion. Because where it happens is I tell her what to do, and then she's pissed at me for telling her what to do. She just wants me to listen to her. It's kind of like that. I think that's probably the typical man-woman thing, and to be honest with you. Men want to fix things, and women just want to, hear it out type of thing. In most cases, don't take that for real, but at least that's what I've found around my household. And so I started doing that, and I'm telling you guys, my relationship with my oldest daughter has taken a huge change for the better and gotten us so much closer. I just talked to her last night. I talked to her almost nightly on a daily, nightly basis, whatever you want to say, before she's going to bed, just talking about how the day goes and things like that. Really impactful. So you can take this to any part of your life, your love life, your kids, anything, yourself. If you can attach an image in your mind that you can visualize when you say the affirmation, we're going to get into that later, people, with your vision board. So you know where you want to be. You know what those goals look like, where you want your life to be. You just did that. Then we're going to do a vision board to kind of supplement with those goals that you're trying to hit. The vision board is going to have all these things. What do you want your life to look like? What things do you want to attain? What kind of successes do you want to have? And then write affirmations that kind of pull everything together so that you're focused in on all those things working towards the same goal. When I close my eyes and I think about my daughter, I just get a smile on my face. When I know that we're talking and have this deeper relationship, I think about how bad it was leading up to starting this and how good it's become. It's like night and day. And I was so scared, you guys. I was seriously scared that I was going to lose her, or I don't know. I mean, again, I think a dad is a very impactful figure in a daughter's life, and I didn't want to let her down. Let's put it that way.
One other key thing to remember is do not set a goal or affirmation that's so easily attained that there's no sacrifice or effort involved, because that's setting yourself. I call that a false positive. It's like, yeah, you can mark it off on the list that you did it, but did you truly do something that puts you outside that comfort zone or bubble to actually achieve something, to really have something to feel good about?
Love it. I mean, that is true. You definitely want to set the bar higher than where you want to go. It's just got to be a visualization of where you want to be. I mean, in some cases, maybe you're just a little bit below where you want to be. And if you can get to that next level, that jump, I mean, that you can change it, and then you can move on from that one too in some cases. I have to revisit a few of mine constantly, like my daughter one and the weight one is something I'm probably going to deal with for the rest of my life, to stay really focused in on those. But there's other dreams and affirmations that I have that really don't apply anymore, and I can delete them and not have to say them anymore. And then you can always bring them back. But it is true, you want to rewrite and write affirmations as often as possible when you feel like they're not working, you're not getting the right motivation from them. I rewrote mine just because I'd had them for like 2 years, and I decided that I wanted to rewrite them and see if I could get something else going. They had worked really well, but I wanted to try something new, and I found that the new ones didn't work as well for me. So I'm going to go back to the working on them again and try to rewrite them, over time. And if you do the Miracle Morning, there's a part of Miracle Morning that's scribbling or writing, like journaling. You can use that time in the morning to kind of write down ideas around where you want to hit, and start working on your affirmations as well. This isn't like an overnight thing. Like, you don't like say, I'm going to come up with affirmations and just write out 3 things. You can do that for sure. But I mean, this can be something that you work on get up in the morning, think about it, where your goals are, and then write an affirmation down and start with 1, and maybe add 2, and maybe add 3 or 4 or 5. So now we've been through a lot of things. We talked about, where we were, where we want to be. Now it's about what does that 1 year vision? We're going to start with the 1 year vision. Where is that vision? Where are you going to be a year from now? This is kind of like, I want you to think big. You know, I think it needs to be slightly attainable, but not, it doesn't have to be a guarantee attainable. I want you guys to dream big on some of the things that you want to happen in your life. This is super key in the 1 year vision of where you want to be. It's going to help motivate you and it's going to change your mindset. So for vacations, for example, you know, put down a place you want to go. And I think if you want to go to Europe and you may or may not make Europe because of one reason or another, I think you can still put Europe down. I mean, some of mine are what I want to do a European vacation. I want to go to Maui. And I would love to go to Australia. Now, more than likely, I won't hit most of those. I know I'm already going to Hawaii, so I already got that one done, but still, I want to make sure I hit it. I'm not going to let that vision of that go. So my 1 year goal is I want to make sure I make it to Maui. I haven't made it there yet with the pandemic. Who the hell knows? They might shut down again on me. So I'm going to determine to try and hit Maui at least. Some of these other ones are motivated. I want to go to Europe. I'm going to keep that on my vision. If I get an opportunity where the timing opens up, where I can make something happen and the pandemic's not crazy and things are kind of halfway normal, I'm going to, you know, I want to use this to motivate me to get there. Part of the motivation is saving the money, to have the money there to go on the trip. And then part of it's looking for the timing. Long weekend, same thing. Where do you want to go over the weekend? Leavenworth, Napa Valley, you know, Palm Springs, you know, come up with ideas of long weekends that you would love to do this year. Stuff and toys. Again, dream big. You want a new car? Pick the specific car that you want. You want a Mercedes, you know, S65 AMG. That's what you put down. You know, maybe you end up with something less, but at least you got to that new car dream that you want to get a new car. You got to dream big on these dreams to kind of motivate you and change the mindset. It doesn't matter if you end up exactly where you want to be, as long as you're making progress to the end all goal. That's why we want to go bigger, is like, you know, say you want a new car and it's a Mercedes or whatever it is. And then at the end of the year, you ended up, that mental focus on getting a new car ends up getting you a new car and you feel good about it. Yeah, it wasn't the Mercedes, but at least you're making progress going forward to hit a Mercedes. And we want to continue to convince your brain that the Mercedes is on the board. Like I have on mine is this gray car here on mine is it's a Maserati. It is by far the worst performing automobile on maintenance in the entire history of automobile. It gets the lowest rating. So to own a Maserati, you have to be wealthy and be prepared to spend a crap load of money out of pocket to maintain the stupid car. But in my opinion, the Maserati is probably one of the sexiest cars I've ever seen, and I would love to have one. And, you know, it is what it is. I'm a car guy. But I'm not prepared to fork over all that money on maintenance and stuff yet. So I'm still going to put that on my goal planning thing. But that motivates me in two ways. One, I want to make more money so I can save more money in order to be able to maintain and handle this car. And then two, it just keeps me focused in on the goal at work, you know, to work harder and, you know, continue to be successful and things like that. So a lot of times these smaller goals can lead to bigger goals, or a compilation of all the goals together too, in a lot of cases as well. Cash assets, put down how much you currently have in stocks, 401k, mutual funds, and cash. Cash is like savings, money market, and CDs. Mutual funds are if you own stocks, but they're in a mutual fund. Obviously, mutual fund's like a entity that owns a bunch of different stocks, and you just buy the mutual fund, and then you're invested in all the different stocks that are under the mutual fund. 401ks, your retirement. You can also put IRAs under 401k because those are protected accounts. And then if you own any stock, then the key is 1 year from now, where do you want to be? That's super important. Because if you don't have a plan on getting to where you want to be financially, you're never going to get there. You got to have it in writing. That's why this is super important. I would be aggressive 1 year from now. So if you have zero money in the bank and you want to have 10,000 by the end of the year, I would put 10,000 down. You know, if you want 25,000 or 50,000, whatever it is, that number is. Same with stocks, 401k, mutual funds, everything else. I think everybody wants to have more cash and assets available. So this is a time to start convincing yourself that you can do it. Giving is the next one. Again, cash and time. Giving is really important because most of us should feel very, very grateful that we are working in this industry. That's an amazing industry. I think we're in probably one of the best markets I've experienced in 26 years in real estate, and I think it's going to continue for the next couple of years. There's so many people affected by this pandemic and life in general that aren't as fortunate as we are. So giving has got to be a big part of everything we do to help the people around us. Not only does it make us feel good, it just makes a better feel for society in general. I know we just gave a huge amount of cash away to 3 different charities at the end of the year, and all of them actually reached out and were just like astonished that we were able to provide such help around Christmas time. And I mean, they helped so many other families. And yeah, it made me feel good, but at the same time, I feel so bad about the families that are struggling, the kids that don't, foster care kids, things like that. I mean, we helped a bunch of different aspects of our area. So it was really empowering. And I always feel like if you focus in on others and you try to help them succeed and hit their goals, that it's only going to increase how quickly you hit your own goals. And I mean, a big part of, us doing this for you guys, for our team doing this for you guys, is we want to help you be successful. We want to help you hit your goals. And I think in the end, it's going to help us hit our goals as well. So really impactful to not think about yourself all the time and to look at others around you and try to help them hit their goals. Because again, they realize theirs somehow, some way, your goals all become that much closer. Just keep going and filling it out. Accomplishments, do you want to write a book, charities, goals, sport goals, pretty much anything. I mean, kind of dream big. I mean, if you've thought about doing a podcast, put down 2 podcasts by the end of the year, or, maybe you do want to write a book. Maybe if you're working out on a again, back to the weight, sorry. I got to get away from that. I got to come up with something better. But maybe you want to run a 10K or a 5K or a marathon. I mean, those are kind of goals that you want to do as far as accomplishments. Fitness and health, weight, activities, what's your current weight? And then what do you want your weight to be from 1 year from now? What activities are you doing to do that? Moving on to the second page. Anyone have questions so far? So moving on to the second page, describe changes in business. I'm with you, Debbie. Let's see here. So describe changes in the business. So it's kind of like, where do you want to see your business? Are you going to hire somebody? Are you going to get a transaction coordinator? I mean, what does your business look like that you want to change in this next year? Do you want to close, 2 transactions a month? Do you want to close 10 transactions a month? Do you want to hit a record in your volume for the year? Those kinds of things. How do you want to see your business change and grow in the new year? And maybe some of you may not want it to grow. Maybe you just want to maintain. You're happy where you're at, and you just want to kind of look at maintain the status quo, and you're happy that way. That's definitely possible as well. Look at your hours. How many hours are you working right now per week on average versus how many hours do you want to be working? That's a big thing with my coaching and stuff, is they do not want you working hundreds of hours a week. They say that you're less and less productive the more and more you work. I mean, there's studies all over the place. I mean, once you start to get over 50 hours a week, you become less productive and less productive the longer and longer. And then especially if you work all day long, like I know a lot of you real estate agents have to, work on the weekends. Well, if you don't turn that off, your life becomes work, and there's no difference between personal and work life. So there's a lot of agents we work with that have, you call them and they'll say, if it's a Sunday, I'm not calling you back. I don't work on Sundays. That's what they're doing. They're protecting the other part of their life from this work part of the life, and they're not letting it overcome. And I know it's like, oh God, if I say I don't work on Sundays, I might lose a deal. Your life's more important than that deal. I would say probably 100% of the time. Then you can talk about your units, your net income, your commissions and expenses down below. Just give an idea. This is a bigger overview, so you can take some time to think about it. But how many transactions do you want to close? How much is your gross commission for those transactions? How much is your net income after your expenses? Where do you want to see those numbers? If you guys aren't doing a P&L and a budget for the year and kind of have these things knocked out, it's definitely something. Now's the time to kind of sit down and see what those numbers look like. We always back into things. So what that means is like, we'll look at how much do we want to make, right? Okay, I want to make $100,000 a year. Okay, so if last year my expenses were this amount, let's say they're 50,000. So that's 150,000 that I need to make in gross commissions, in order to hit my net of 100,000. So how many transactions will it take on average? What was my average commission last year versus, going forward? And if your average commission was, let's say it was $10,000 a transaction. I mean, just round numbers again. Okay, so that's $10,000 a transaction. I need to make 150. That's 15 deals. I got to close 15 deals to make my dreams, right? So now you're like, units, I want 15 units. Personally, I would probably go to like something a little higher, like 17 to 20, because you're always gonna have fallout. And then you put your commissions down as gross commissions 150, expenses 50,000, net income 100 grand. That's how you back into kind of those numbers. Don't limit yourself. Like Leon was saying, don't make it too attainable, unless again, you're just trying to maintain, and that's where you feel really comfortable in your life and you just want to maintain where you're at. You can put the same numbers down and make them attainable. But again, I agree with Leon that you'd want to kind of push the bar a little higher just to push it. Now, on the flip side of that, in some cases, I wouldn't push the bar so far out of range that it's not even possible in a 1 year vision. The 5 year vision is completely different. We'll get to that in a second. But on the 1 year vision, it's got to be somewhat attainable. You don't want to say, I'm going to do 500 transactions this year, and you did 20 the year before. That's just probably not going to happen. But if you say, I'm going to do 20, and I typically, personally, I take 20% of my past year, and I make that the goal for the next year. I want to increase by 20%, slow organic growth. If I do that, then I hit it. I mean, last year our goal was probably, I think it was like 150 or 160 again, because we didn't know what the year was going to bring, and we ended up doing 200 million. I mean, so we broke our goal, but our goal before was a higher goal of 20%. It was a very positive goal, something that we'd have to work hard to get to and hopefully exceed, but who knows? But we exceeded it and crushed it. Love life, things you like right now, things you don't like right now. That's a really good one, because that's, again, a personal thing that can affect our entire life, is our love life and the people around us. So be really specific on the things you like, what's going on in your relationship, and then there's got to be things that you don't like or that are not as fulfilling. And again, we're using this mentally to either come up with more affirmations around those items that we want to change, and or put us in a position where we start working on the items, especially the ones we don't like, but then also giving more time and energy and recognition to the parts that we like. And then what changes do you want in a year? So the things you like right now, the things you don't like right now, and then what does it look like in a year on the things you like and the things you don't like. And the last one's real estate. If you have any real estate, just put the current value under whatever the line item that goes with it. And then where do you want to see the values from now? Now, if you're going to go current value on my primary house is 450 and you want to buy, a bigger house and you want to upgrade, you can put, value from a year from now would be 800,000. Maybe you want to buy a more expensive house. You could also just do natural appreciation. I hope it's up 10%, so my value will be 10% higher in a year from now. If you buy a rental, maybe you don't have a rental right now, but your value a year from now should be 350 or 400 because eventually you want to have a rental by the end of the year, so you're going to have some value in a rental property a year from now. All right, that's the last line on that. Any questions on that form at all? Now, here's the key, guys, is we're not going to go through the 5-year. It'll just take too much time. I think the 1 year that we're working on right now is something that you guys should readdress and go through it when you have more time on your own personal time to kind of go through and really refine the goals and the numbers that you have on there and where you want your life to be. And then at the same time, or potentially, again, over time, start working on the 5-year vision. The 5-year vision is something that you can take to the next level. Can you go back a screen, please? So the 5 years where you can take it to the next level. This is where I really want you guys to dream huge, like bigger than you could possibly see. Like, vacations, you could take a private sailboat around the world, whatever. Dream super big. Same with long weekends, stuffed toys, cars, whatever you want to acquire. Make it as big as you can because you want your 5-year vision to inspire you to greater, bigger, and greater things. The 1 year is very specific because it's the next 12 months that we have to focus in on, and we want to try and make them as accomplishable, but still dreaming a little bigger than where we want to be. And then the 5-year vision is like, okay, what does my real life look like? Like, where do I want my life to be 5 years from now? And you have the time to make these changes. So that's why we want to dream super big on these items, because we want you to be dreaming bigger than what you think you might. You know what? We convince ourselves mentally that we can't. Oh, I can't. Oh, I can't. Over and over again. That self-talk makes it a realization that you can't. So this 5-year vision is that self-talk, the positive self-talk, that's realizing, oh my God, I can get that. I can do this. I can go there. I can achieve this. So we've got to start talking to ourselves in positive ways, driving us to bigger and better things, when in reality, we're not going to hit them because we're talking to ourselves in a negative way all the time. All right, next. Does anyone have any questions? I'm sorry, on the 5-year vision? It's basically the same form. It's just we're thinking bigger on it and trying to accomplish a big thing and where you want to see your life in 5 years. All right. This is probably an amazing thing. The vision board is a very powerful thing that I think I'm excited that you guys are here to do this. It's something that once you're completed with it, we want to make sure that you have several copies of it printed out. This is the way it can really have a huge impact, is you print it out and you have one next to the bed, you have one in your bathroom, you have one at your office, and you have one in your car. Everywhere you go, you want to see your vision board. You want it to be as specific as you can to the things you want to hit.
If I take a picture of it and I make it my screensaver on my phone, on my iPad, and on my computer as well, my desktop.
Yep.
I'm actually
Very
going to teach you guys
powerful.
how to turn it into a phone screen as well.
Yeah. Last year was the first year I hadn't done one in almost 6 years. But every year before that, I've literally hit almost everything on my vision board.
And it's so powerful, you guys. This is actually one of the more powerful things in this whole thing is just visualizing the stuff that's on here, because when you look at it, your brain's like, oh yeah, that we want to hit there. That's a good thing. I see it. When the brain can visualize it in front of you, what it looks like, it makes it so much more attainable mentally. That's why this vision board is so important in kind of giving, you close your mind and you can visualize something, but it's not a picture of something that's live. When you get this live picture in front of you, it just, I don't know, it changes me the way I think. Like looking at this board that I have, the one I showed you guys, I mean, it just immediately gets me thinking about those things. Like, oh, how do I get this? How do I do this? Oh, it'd be so cool if I had this. I can't wait to get that. You know what I'm saying? That's the mental talk I'm having, is like, how do I get there to get that? Versus like, you're not visualizing it. I mean, you just don't, your brain's not going to be on the same level. So, Scott, you want to go through this one because you're so good at this part?
So I wanted to like kind of gauge the room. Do we need like a bathroom break or anything? Because I'm actually going to teach you how to build this in Canva so that you can like manipulate it and order and put it everywhere that you want to. So I really need you guys to stay with me or you're probably going to miss how it is done. So why don't we take 5 minutes? That puts us at 12:27. Can you guys commit to me to be back on video in 5 minutes? Yes? Okay, let's do it. So, okay, perfect. So I'm going to walk you through how to do a virtual vision board in Canva. But before we do that, let's talk about just the basic concept behind a vision board. I mean, you guys have probably heard about these for years and years and years. But why it's powerful is that visualization piece. So same thing along the lines of the affirmations of like, can you see what it would look like to be with your family in that place that you want to go, building these memories, creating this experience of like the life that you want to live. And the cool thing about the fact that we're going to do this digitally is you can actually find images that like solicit the feeling that you want to have. Whereas with the magazines, you're kind of at the mercy of what's available there and what images they just have printed. With this, like you can search to your heart's content to find the exact car that you actually want, to find the exact beach that you want to be on, et cetera, et cetera. So one of the nuggets I love from this, let me share my screen again. That might be a good idea. From this slide is, as you're looking for things and as you're creating this, if it's not a hell yes, like everything in you is like, yes, that thing, that picture, I want that, then it's a no. And the reason is because you get to design this life, so play all out. Don't sell yourself short. If it's not a hell yes, it's a no. Okay, so that's my inspirational piece before we dive into it. And as we're going through, we already talked about how you want to feel, but you can look for pictures that sort of represent your dreams, everything you wrote on your 1-year vision. If you want to invest a certain amount in stocks, like put that number on the board. Family, work, money, recreation, all the things you want to do from this 1-year vision. If you have launch a podcast, which that's one of mine, we can go look for a podcast mic. So those types of things, okay? So first things first, and I'll actually do this with you. We're going to head over to canva.com. I put the link in the chat. It's canva.com. Most of you probably already have an account. It's totally free, so you'll want to log in or go ahead and create that. Log in with Google or Facebook or whatever you need to do so that you can set that up. When you're there, say, I'm there in the chat. This is when we need the background music. Yay! I love it. I love the interaction. Perfect. We'll give you a few more moments to log into Canva. Hopefully you guys are aware of this tool and already using it for your business, or if you have any reason to create a personal brand online, this is a great tool to do that with. Okay, some people are setting up an account. All right, cool. I'm going to go ahead and move forward, and then once I'm done, I'll put this screen back up so that you can have the directions right there for you. So once you're all logged in, see if you can see my screen. Can you guys see that? Do you see Canva? Yes, no? Yes, okay, great. So here's our main dashboard. We're gonna go up to the right and hit create a design. And then we're actually gonna search here in this box for a mood board. This is a template that's not technically intended for vision boards, but it's perfect. Well, you can see that, search mood board, and then when you click that, it pulls up a beautiful canvas for you.
I never knew that was there.
And there's all kinds of different templates in here just for the sake of like, if you're wanting to use Canva for other things. Can you guys actually see Canva? It's not like highlighted. Okay, cool. So on the left here, we have different templates. So if one of these speaks to you and you're like, that looks cool, I'm just gonna use that. If you click it, it will paste the design over. Or you can just drag and select and get rid of all that by hitting the backspace button. So there are some options there for templates. But this is gonna be your base. So let's do a few just like quick tutorial things for how you can design this. First of all, if you actually click into the canvas, you'll notice that it gets highlighted around the edges, and then this little color box shows up. That's where you can pick a background color. So if you want to do blue, or it's also blue, or if you want to do a new color that's not preloaded here, you just click new color, and you can slide this around until your heart's content, get the exact type of pink that you want. Because you guys know me, my whole thing is pink, okay? So that's background. You could also upload a background that's an image, like if you wanted some kind of cool texture. On the left here, we have photos, and they actually have some here. Like if you want mountains to be your background, that's actually a really cool one. Some of these, if you highlight or if you drag your mouse over it, you'll see if it's pro or not. If it's pro, that means you're gonna have to pay a royalty in order to use that photo, so avoid those. You want free ones, but I'll also show you another website where you can get free images. So I have some here, but you could put like this mountain as your background if you wanted, and you notice that once you click on it, it just loads it right in and it's already highlighted, and then I can just drag the corners until it's like the, you know, the shape that I want, and it's covering the amount of background that I want. Okay, so that's baseline for backgrounds. On the left here, you have all your options. So you can add text. So I put my word of the year on mine, which is great. So I know a lot of people had focused. So I'm going to use that example. And then again, it's already highlighted, and I can like drag it to be whatever, however, you know, big I want. Here I can rotate it. If I highlight, I can change the font. There's all kinds of cool fonts in here. And then you can also change the color. I don't know if pink would look good, but this is just an example, okay? So that's how you can do text. If there's like a quote that really speaks to you, a number that speaks to you, again, like this is for you to visualize every single day. So put things on there that inspire you. And then you're probably gonna want to add some images. So how I recommend to do this is actually to go into Elements and then grab some frames. And so you could do like circle frame. You can kind of get like sort of a layout that you like, and there's like different shapes and stuff here. And then once you go find your images, you get this how you want, or maybe you want to do the Polaroid thing. That actually looks really cool. I love that. This could be like a whole travel inspo board. You guys see how I'm doing this? I'm kind of just like manipulating things, dragging them around. So once you have a few frames here, and this is kind of how you want it, you can go start finding images. So obviously you can use Google if you have something specific, or if you're just looking for like a category of something, I recommend using unsplash.com, which I put in the chat as well. These are actual photographers that have given up the royalties to their images. So this is a great one for just marketing in general, for social media, but also for this. So like, if you're looking for, you know, if reading is one of your things that you want to do this year, maybe this picture really speaks to you, and all you need to do is click the download button. Can you guys see everything I'm doing still? Yes, stop me if I'm going too fast. So I just downloaded that. I'm going to flip right back to Canva, and I literally just drag and upload. Oops, I put it in the wrong one. Let me put it in this one. Now it's going to upload there. And then I have these frames, right? So I'm highlighting the frame that I want to stick it in, and I'm going to drag it over. It's going to drop it into that frame. Isn't that cool? Then you can double click if you want to move it around or if it's not quite what you want. And then the frames are optional too, guys. You don't have to use those. It's just kind of a cool hack. So you could also just click it and it's going to end up just right, no frame. And then you can resize, etc., etc. Okay? Questions? That was like a mini tutorial to get you started. You guys feel empowered to create the most beautiful vision board ever? Yes? Okay, great.